Hey guys, so this is officially my first sewing tutorial. Recorded this a while back, but I'm just now doing the voiceover for it. I hope I cover everything and make everything as simple as I possibly can so you guys can understand it. Videos will get better, but for right now, this is what we have. So I hope you guys enjoy. So let's get our materials together. First, you will need your favorite pencil skirt. You will need a 2-way or 4-way stretch knit fabric. I'm using jersey here. You will need a cone or a spool of thread, either one will do. You will need scissors or shears. You will need lots of pins, especially for my beginners. A seam ripper if you make any mistakes. And finally, you will need a tape measure. If the skirt you are using as a pattern is longer or shorter than your desired length, you can easily just try it on and use your tape measure to determine how many inches you want to add or take from it. Write this number down because you will definitely need it later. Okay, so let's get started. Lie out your fabric on a flat surface. Fold it to where it stretches widthwise. Right sides of the fabric should be facing each other. Right side meaning the side that will be shown outside. Take your skirt that you're using for your pattern, turn it inside out and fold it in half. I'm using a scrap piece of fabric, so I will probably have to adjust mine to make sure I will have enough to do my skirt. Lie your skirt on the fabric to where the folds match up. This is where you take your tape measure and the number you recorded earlier if you want to make any length adjustments. You either add that to the bottom or subtract it from the bottom if you want to go shorter. I take 2 pins and I mark this. Sorry if I'm a bit out of frame, guys. Hashtag beginner problems. So what I'm pretty much doing right now is I'm taking my scissors and I'm cutting directly below the bottom of my skirt, which I marked with 2 pins, well, a ½ inch below. Then I'm going to take my tape measure and I'm going to measure a ½ inch all the way around. If you're a beginner, I highly recommend pinning your piece together before you cut around. If you're intermediate or advanced, then you're probably not watching this video, but if you are, just cut around in ½ inch if you can eyeball it. Then when I get to the top, I'm going to add a ½ inch and I'm going to go on ahead and cut that out. Now you can take your skirt, remove it and put it off to the side. You won't be needing it anymore. Take a couple of pins and pin this piece together because you're going to be using it to cut out your other piece. One will be used for the front and one will be used for the back. Move that out the way and refold your fabric. I'm gonna probably struggle here because like I said earlier, I'm using a scrap piece of fabric, so I gotta kind of make it work. And there we go. Right sides of your fabric should still be facing. Now you're going to want to take your front piece and lie it with the fold matching up to your bottom piece. Making sure it's straightened out. And you're going to cut all the way around this. Now you want to get all that extra fabric off of your workspace so it doesn't get in your way. You now have the front and back pieces for your skirt. You're going to want to unfold one piece to where the right side or the outside is facing up. Then you're going to want to take your second piece and unfold it to where the right sides will be facing down, meaning both of the outsides of your pieces will be facing each other. Now that you have your two pieces facing each other, you're going to want to pin them together. I use a pin to mark the waist just so I don't forget. You're going to want to pin up and down all the way both sides. I only use about 3 pins on each side, but if you're a beginner, I recommend using at least a pin per every ½ inch. Now we're going to go to our sewing machine and we're going to put it on a basic stitch, and we're going to sew all the way down one side from the top to the bottom, making sure to back stitch in the beginning and at the end. Sorry if my camera is a little shaky. I have it sitting on the table and my machine is actually making the tripod shake. Here's a quick tip. I try to never sew over my pins. I heard over time it can make your sewing machine skip stitches. We really don't want that happening, and we also don't want our needles breaking because that adds up when you have to keep going and purchasing new needles. So try to remove them right before they get up to the needle. This will be repeated for both sides. Now we're going to get ready to finish off these seams. If you have an overlock machine, also called a serger, then you would use that now. If not, you are going to just choose a basic zigzag stitch from your sewing machine and you're going to sew right beside the side seams you just sewed. Do this from top to bottom on both sides. And this is what it should look like. Now you're going to take your scissors and carefully cut the extra fabric off on the sides of your zigzag stitching. If you use the overlock machine, it should have already cut this off, so you won't have to worry about that step. Now you're going to find where you put the pin at, which marks the top of your skirt, and you're going to take this and fold it down a ½ inch. This will be folded down towards the wrong side of the fabric, which is also the inside. Now you're going to want to do the exact same thing as the other side seam. We're going to do this all the way around, folding over a ½ inch as we go. You can try to eyeball it, but again, if you're a beginner, I recommend using your tape measure or your ruler to make sure you have it accurate. With this skirt, there's pretty much room for error. It's the most basic project you can do, so you don't really have to measure it, but if you want it to be completely accurate, you can. Now this part is totally optional, but I like to take an extra pin and mark the top or the waist of my skirt again so I do not forget which side it is. Now you're going to take your skirt and do the bottom the exact same way that you did the top. Now you want to grab your tape measure and measure around your waist. Mine is 27 inches. Take that and fold it in half. Make note of that number. Mine is 13.5. Take your tape measure to your skirt and make sure that it is your desired length. Since this skirt stretches so much, you can make it maybe an inch or two shorter, smaller, tighter if you want to. Now we're going to return back to our sewing machine. You can either leave it on a zigzag stitch, which will allow stretch for you, or you can put it on a straight stitch, which will be a lot neater, and just slightly pull your fabric as you sew. That is what I choose to do. Start at one side seam and sew all the way around until you reach that side seam again. I like to take a pen or a marker and mark the top. Right here, I was just explaining what I explained to you earlier about the zigzag stitch. Totally your choice. Whatever you feel more comfortable doing. Don't remember what I was saying there, but I'm sure it wasn't that important. Oh, what I was saying, I was explaining that you can also use a twin needle if you want to for a more professional looking finish, but I will explain how to do that in another tutorial later. Now you want to take your scissors, trim off any loose threads, and trim off any excess fabric. I recommend using smaller scissors for this, but if you only have big scissors, then just be very careful. And now we're done. How easy was that? You have just made your first skirt. Seriously, you just made your first skirt. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed and I hope it helped you. My videos will only get better in the future, I promise. So please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this tutorial.